But the fact of the matter is that the natural workings of power has meant that whites have benefited more than blacks, even from affirmative action. So that if we simply leave it at that, that is what will happen every time because of the inequalities of power.
Well, first of all, I don't think I would have designed a system, a remedy for that somebody else will benefit from. But, you know, I think that one point lost in all this discussion about the problems and the progress that blacks have made is the, we've talked about it a little bit, but there's a rather startling statistic, and that is if you take blacks who have high school education, who get married and stay married, who take any kind of job, even if it's a minimum wage job, the rate of poverty among that group of people who can be characterized like that is 4%. And what we're saying, you know, what we're doing is we're saying that much of the problems that black people face are from people who behave in different ways than that. That is, people who do not behave according to the old cultural values of going through school, getting out of school, getting married and staying married, and taking a job. Now, so it seems like the solution is, well, we need to teach people, black people, that, well, it's a good idea to finish school. It's a good idea for girls to keep their legs closed until they get married. It's a good idea for you to get a job rather than to be standing on street corners.
Walter Edward Williams, born March 31st, 1936 to December 1st, 2020. Rest in peace, sir. Full salute. Was an American economist, commentator, and academic. William was the John M. Olin Distinguished Professor of Economics at George Mason University, as well as a syndicated columnist and author known for his classical libertarian and conservative views. Williams' writings frequently appeared in Town Hall, WND, and Jewish World Review. Williams was also a popular guest host of the Rush Limbaugh radio show. Williams was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, with his family. His family in Pennsylvania during his childhood consisted of his mother, his sister, and himself. Williams' father played no role in raising Williams and his sister. The family initially lived in West Philadelphia, later moving to the Richard Allen housing projects when Williams was 10 years old. After graduating from Benjamin Franklin High School, Williams traveled to California to live with his father and attended Los Angeles City College for one semester. He later returned to Philadelphia and secured a job as a cab driver for the Yellow Cab Company. In 1959, he was drafted into the military and served as a private in the United States Army. Following his military service, Williams served as a juvenile group supervisor for LA County Probation Department. From 1963 to 1967, Williams also resumed his education, earning a bachelor's degree in economics in 1965 from California State College at Los Angeles, now Cal State. He earned both his master's degree and PhD in economics from the University of California, now UCLA. While Williams was attending UCLA, Thomas Sowell arrived on campus in 1969 as a visiting professor. Although he never took a class from Dr. Sowell, the two met and begun a friendship that lasted for decades. In the summer of 1972, Sowell was hired as director of the Urban Institute Ethnic Minorities Project, which Williams joined shortly thereafter as an economist. Williams was a proponent of free market economics and opposed socialist systems of government intervention. Williams believed laissez-faire capitalism to be the most moral and most productive system humans have ever devised.
Yeah, baby!
Williams was also critical of state and federal programs, including minimum wages and affirmative action laws, stating both practices inhibit liberty and are detrimental to blacks. They are intended to help and end up hindering them. Let's continue with both, with more info, but live and in action, because if I continue to talk about all that Mr. Williams has accomplished, there will be no more paper. So let's continue. Editors, roll clip, fair use.
People talk about poverty and problems, and they talk about, well, we need this government program, we need this solution, et cetera, et cetera. And I ask, well, what about hard work and sacrifice? Hard work and sacrifice. That is, that's how you, as professor at Howard University, quote, eradicated some of the effects of slavery. That's how I eradicated that's how this middle class, middle class suburbs of Washington, blacks in the middle class suburbs of Washington, they make $1,000 to $5,000 more than the average white across the country. And most people move up the economic ladder by hard work and sacrifice. Now, what has happened over the years is that so-called black leaders have demeaned hard work and sacrifice. They say somebody owes you something. Wait for your 40 acres and a mule. Well, you're going to be waiting a long time before somebody pays you.
Only kind of equality that is consistent with personal liberty is equality before the law. But however, looking at equality of opportunity as a concept, it really just doesn't tell you very much. That is, I don't have an equal opportunity to be a great boxer. I don't have the equal opportunity to be a great basketball player. And I don't have the equal opportunity to do many, many things. So I think that the only kind of equality we should be striving for is equality before the law.
What is your view about the payment of reparations to black people as a result of slavery?
Well, first of all, with regard to payments with reparations issue, I personally think that slave owners should make payments to slaves for the injustices. But we're going to have to take care of that business somewhere else, either in heaven or hell. Now, there is no way that a white person living today has any obligation for slavery. No responsibility for slavery. And what people are many people with this reparations business, they're saying that essentially that a white of today should compensate a black of today for what a white of yesterday did to a black of yesterday. Now, to me, that does not make sense. Now, same way, that is, if an Indian came to my house saying, "Walter, I want you to compensate me," I would go get my gun. Not because I have anything against Indians, but I just don't want foolish people knocking on my door.
But for our viewers, let's talk about the importance of the Constitution and why it's important to have a limited government in order for people to prosper and to advance.
Well, I think that the founders of our country, they recognize that most of the evil done to humans has been done by government. Government is the major oppressor of mankind throughout mankind's history. Now, but at the same time, the founders recognized that we do need some government. And that is, we need some government to protect me from taking your money or protect people from shooting each other and things like that. We do need some government, but we ought to keep it as limited as possible. And that was the vision shared by the founders. And as a matter of fact, I think it was Thomas Paine said, government under the best conditions is a necessary evil, under the worst, an intolerable one. And we just look around the world, just look at around the world, and we see that most of the suffering of mankind has been done by government. Look, Germany, Nazi Germany, Stalinist Russia, Maoist China. Just those three countries account for the slaughter of well over 100 million poor souls by their own government. And there's an excellent work done by Professor Rommel at the University of Hawaii. He's now deceased. It's called Death by Government. And he says in there, that the 20th century was mankind's most brutal century. He said over 60 million poor souls lost their lives in war, but that's a drop in the bucket of the poor souls that were destroyed by their own government. So the basic point that the founders' vision is that we're going to have a limited government. And if you read, too many Americans don't pay too much attention to the Constitution and the debate around the Constitution. Much of it's reflected in the Federalist Papers that were written by James Madison, the acknowledged father of the Constitution, and John Jay and Alexander Hamilton. And on Federalist Paper 45, James Madison is trying to explain to the citizens of New York why they should ratify the Constitution, and he's trying to explain what's in the Constitution. And he says the powers that we delegated to the federal government are few and well-defined and restricted mostly to external affairs. Those left with the people and the states are indefinite and numerous. Now, if you turn that upside down, you'd have exactly what we have today. The powers of the federal government are indefinite and numerous, and those of the people and the states are restricted.
Hey guys, it's Jose, your regular Joe Blow, keeping an eye out and my ears open to the late, great Walter E. Williams. Much respect, sir. Thank you for your service and all the wisdom and knowledge you left behind. Many, many jewels for us to continue to study. Wow, where do I even start? You can't stop once you start, guys. So I'm just going to stop here and continue to admire and put into action all you left for us and emulate the greats. So guys, do your own research and let me continue to do more studies on great Americans like Mr. Williams. After that, I'll study more to bring you more. Thank you guys always for the support. Much appreciated. And don't forget, guys, our God-given gift. And what's that? That's to stay free.
It ain't hard to tell. I excel, then prevail.